he had wanted me to come to his apartment and like be a prostitute for him and his friends or whatever, and he would, give me an easier time of things out there. Look the other way, I could do whatever I wanted if I wanted to go out there. He wanted me to go use drugs and be his do whatever he wanted sexually. Just wanted me to sleep with him and his friends. I think that they were doing a lot of things shady, and so they were trying their best just to save face and erase the problem.
Tell me about this security guard that was, and what he did.
It was really inappropriate when I was in the food line in the front over by where we'd get out, we'd line up for food and stuff. He just came out of nowhere. It was like he said something, and I was like, "What?" And he walked up to me, and he like beckoned me over, and like I, kind of listened at first to security. I thought it was authority figure, so I was like, "What's up?" And I kind of walked towards him, and he just grabbed me, put his arm around me, and starts like, not like dragging, but he's like, guided me away from the line, and I'm like, "What?" And he starts talking about, he's like, "Did so and so tell you or whatever?" Because he basically was saying like he had picked me out before at some point and had mentioned me to somebody that worked there, and that they were supposed to come and let me know or whatever, that he had wanted me to come to his apartment and like be a prostitute for him and his friends or whatever, and he would, give me an easier time of things out there. Look the other way, I could do whatever I wanted if I wanted to go out there to his spot and have sex with him for drugs and money and whatever. I mean, I don't know if that's something they do with other people out there or what.
I mean, well, the way he, presented himself to you, I mean, it almost sounds like he's done that plenty of times, and he's just used to it, waiting for you to go like, "Oh yeah,
that's the impression.
like I was told about it from so and so, and like, so let's go," kind of a thing. Do you think that, and I mean, this is just kind of an opinion, but like that women, would potentially find that as like a type of security potentially?
I could think. I mean, there's a lot of women that have been married so long, and they just. I could see it being something that would happen very easily. They would think, well, there's some women that are scared of, if the authority figures are telling you to do something, this is the safest route is to at least resist
listen.
Just do that. Yeah, you'd be safer that way. Or some women would be like, it's cool. I get a pass. I can do whatever I want. All I gotta do is use my body for money, like they do that.
Right.
Or just, it seems, his position he was in. I just think it was bad because there's a lot of people on the streets that are just like lower mental capacity that, I mean? I don't think that they would necessarily be able to understand that they shouldn't do that because he's the next best thing to like a police officer or something because he's got the uniform and he's an authority figure. So, and it definitely seemed like he had done that before because he was just like, "Hey, come on." He's like, "Yeah, so and so told you what to do," and I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah." Like he picked me out, and like I believe he'd done that before with somebody else.
And what did he want to do with you?
He wanted me to go use drugs and be his do whatever he wanted sexually. Just wanted me to sleep with him and his friends and be available for basically whatever he wanted me to do during the time I would be there at his apartment. It was weird.
And then, at what point did you go, "I need to report this"?
Immediately. Yeah, like he wrapped his arm around me and he walked me off, and I was like, "What the?" And then his arm was around my shoulder, and then his hand had begun sliding down like to my lower back and hip, and I was like, "Oh no!" And like I've been on the streets for so long, I don't like being touched normally, like ever. You know what I mean? So I just was like, "Get off me!" And I kind of was like, "What are you talking about? Like what the?" And he's like, "Oh hey," he's like, "Oh, sorry, it's all right." And I was like, "No, it's not all right." And it was nighttime, and I got, I immediately cussed him out, and I went over to the management area, and I was like banging on the doors, and they always had somebody present, but not really like the people that ran it. So the lady that was there, she's like, "Oh my god, okay, in the morning you gotta tell, the other lady," and she's like, "You gotta do that." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna tell her." She's like, "Okay, all right, cool, bye." But she wasn't like, "Are you okay?"
Or right, or let me even take down this information.
Do you want me to do something? Right. I can call the police or like nothing. She was just like, "Oh no, okay, all right, yeah, telling him tomorrow." So I was like, all right. So I spent the rest of the night like just tripping out because I didn't want to be there with like this dude. And I was running around telling people, "He just did this and that," and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, okay." Nobody cared. So when in the morning I went and told that lady, she was like the head lady that worked there. She was not very nice. But okay, what? And then there was the next lady too that was they both were kind of like, "Okay, well, go write this down and then bring us back a written thing on it." And I was like, "All right." So
like just on a piece of paper. Yeah. Not a complaint form, nothing. Just a piece of paper. Okay.
No, and she wasn't like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna fire him." Like she showed some interest in it. She did, but she wasn't like protecting me. I think she was just more like she needed to know the details so she could like straighten it out. Right. She was like, "Okay, all right, write it down." So I wrote it down, and then I had to tell the story like a couple different times, and I started getting annoyed because I was like, it wasn't like I'm telling the story like to the office or the law office or like to anybody that's helping me. I'm like, I'm just telling it again because you didn't hear it the first time I told it. And I started getting annoyed. I was like, I don't want to keep repeating it. It was like an awful situation. And she was like, "Okay, well, we're trying to help you here." But they didn't fire him. They just moved him to OLOT or something. Or they just moved schedules around. They didn't fire him.
Did they give you a so when you turned in the paperwork, did you just hand it to him?
Yeah, I just walked up to the front and knocked on the door, and I was like, okay, I wrote it all down for you. And she was like, oh, she's like, all right, cool. So she took it, and she's like, all right, thank you. And that was it.
And that was it. What did you do? Did you write like your name on it? Did
Yeah.
you sign it like it was like an affidavit type of thing, or
Yeah.
it's a
I wrote
statement
down
of
like
truth?
my name is such and such, and
Right.
this date and this time, and I wrote a description of what had happened. And I
Right.
was like, it's like this is all true. This is what happened to me, and because I mean I'm vaguely familiar with like court paperwork and terminology and stuff, so I made it as like legalese as I
Right.
could, and I tried to make it nice and tidy and proper and in the right format. And I don't know that they did anything with it. I should probably just throw it out. I don't know.
Did you try and go and follow up a little bit later and say, did you do anything? Did you fire him? Or
I mentioned it a few times, and I was just like, "Are you guys like doing anything about that?" You know, and the girl that wasn't as much in charge, she was real. She would do like the like she would come interview us for the whatever it was they had to fill out paperwork for and stuff like that. And she was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I think they're doing something. I'm not sure what you know, he's not going to be around or whatever." I'm like, "They fired him." She's like, I don't know, but you know, they're dealing with it. They're dealing with it." And I was like, "Okay, well." And then nobody said anything to me again after that. And she's like, "Yeah, I don't know, but you know, it's being dealt with." And I think at the time she had said that somebody else had complained that he had done the same thing to them, I believe. And she was like, "So that's 2 times now." And because like the people at the charging area, the other people that live there, other homeless people, they had been like, "Oh, he did it again." Like, yeah, this so and so said that too. So I know one other girl had said that, but I don't think they did anything about it.
do you feel like they are more about hiding things than,
Yeah.
and why? Do you think it's to protect their image, or?
I think it's because well, at the point that Asia and I were there, they were already so deep into whatever it is they've been doing that they didn't want to get caught up. So they would just, they would dispose of stuff. They would throw things out. They would throw out, like, they would just, all traces of somebody would just disappear real quick. They would just take their whole camp and everything, give it away.
As if they were
throw it
never
out.
there.
Yeah. They would just like, in real quick time, they would just get rid of their things, belongings, give them out to people. Or they had a dumpster there that they would put stuff in the dumpsters. They never like, I don't know, they just wipe things away real fast. I think when there's an issue, I think they just want to cover things up because I think that they have, I don't know the depth of it and into what particulars they were doing, but I don't think they were following the rules. I think that they were doing a lot of things shady, and so they were trying their best just to save face and erase the problem. Like if you were causing problems, they weren't going to have you there to get them caught up, you know?
Right.
They would just do whatever they had. The quickest resolve, just get rid of it.
Like you're just a paycheck for them, and
Definitely.
and
They're all about money. That's all they care about. They don't care about people individually at all.